So, welcome, Emily. Thanks for being here.
Thank
Uh,
you for having me.
where are you based, if I may ask?
So I'm based just outside of Toronto.
Oh, nice. Okay. I come quite often there because I have a good friend of mine who lives
Oh,
there. He lives in the center in Yorktown? No, York. I think
North
Yorktown.
York?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't.
I'm not far. I'm not far from there.
Yeah, nice. So, yeah, welcome. And I've been quite following you for a while, and I find it very interesting on, especially on Instagram, what you're posting. About all the topics, mainly about spirituality. So, can you tell me a little bit more about what you do and how long you do it?
Yeah, last year at the beginning of the pandemic, I was set to become a yoga instructor and go to Thailand to do my certification there. And then, of course, with travel restrictions, that got shut down and I wasn't able to pursue that path. So I was already on the path of becoming a spiritual teacher, but I was no longer able to do it in the yoga setting. So I turned to TikTok because I had a friend of mine suggested to me back in 2019. He told me that it was going to blow up. It's going to be this great platform. It's not just going to be kids dancing on it. You can go and really innovate it. So I took that as my chance to share the knowledge that I already knew when it came to spirituality and wellness. I have a background in weight loss as a weight loss consultant, and I also managed a gym. I've had so many jobs in the past. With brand ambassador work specifically with wellness brands. So
Mhm.
lots of modeling, brand ambassador work, acting, stuff that wasn't totally related to spirituality. But
Yeah.
as a result of kind of exploring all those different options, I got deeper within my own.
Hmm.
So that's how it all started. I got into TikTok and then it blew up,
Yeah.
and I've just been working from there. And now I teach guided meditation workshops bi-weekly for the new moon and full moon of every month. And I also have a book that I wrote on manifestation.
Yeah, I saw that. It's called like lightning the way through manifestation.
Yes, I have it right here actually. This is the beautiful cover
Nice. Okay.
I worked on with my friend Sarah Elizabeth. She's an incredible author. And as a
Okay.
first author, I really had no idea how to take what I was writing to the next level. And she just came in and was really
Yeah.
helpful. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a beginner's guide to using the law of attraction. It's only 60 pages. So, I
Hmm.
condensed a lot of the information that I had done research on and was implementing within my own life to give structure to other people.
And where can you get the book?
So you can get it on Amazon now, especially you can get it quicker if you have Amazon Prime. So
Okay.
wherever you have Amazon
Yeah.
and Kindle ebook edition. And I also have it in PDF on my website for anyone who likes to read
Nice.
on.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
will post all the links afterwards on the
Good.
underneath the recording. So interesting. So you teach how to manifest actually then.
Yeah, so my focus is truly on mindfulness and meditation and manifestation. So all the M words,
Okay.
mindfulness, meditation, and manifestation. Those are like the main focuses of my content.
The three M's. Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
I like that. Yeah. So and but you you teach actually f- to manifest things which are in I would say in alignment for each one because each soul has their own purpose, no? Each one has their own path
Yes.
timeline. So
Absolutely. I don't tell people what they should or should not manifest. I
mhm,
can give suggestions on, when the energy based off of astrology makes it a little bit easier to manifest certain things, but I can't tell people what to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, have you felt called to do that? Like, was it a calling for you? Like,
Yes, majorly. Originally I went to school for fashion, and my interest in the fashion industry was to innovate the empowerment of women and to help transform people's lives for the better through boosting their confidence through their physical appearance. And
Mhm.
then, of course, getting into the bones of that, I realized just how materialistic it really is and that it wasn't truly resonating with me. So, at the core, it's always been, and this is what I came to realize, that at the core, it's really just about empowering people. It's not about empowering women, although I do have a large female audience. It's just empowering people to do whatever lights up their soul. And for me, that's what lights up mine, is truly this stuff, writing and communication and drawing and arts, and sharing that with people and sharing how to pursue the things that you're really passionate about, because that's what's going to lead you to your higher self and your happiest quality of life.
Yeah. Since you mentioned that you have a lot of female followers, when I started last year on TikTok, I was surprised that because I can see the statistics that I have around 80 or 90% female followers. How
Mhm.
come is it? I mean, is it that the females are more attached to spirituality than males, or?
I think that's a component of it for sure. I think for some reason, in what seems to be this very patriarchal society, um, self awareness and personal development is more related to the feminine energy. But
Mhm.
I think where we don't understand, or where there's a misunderstanding, is that we are all a combination of both masculine and feminine energies.
Yeah.
So if the feminine energy is that more, is that focus that's on personal development and awareness, then you can easily be in a male body biologically and still pursue that. So I think that it's just that conditioning that people need to kind of overcome. But I'm happy to see that there are more men or people who identify with masculinity that are drawn to it, because it's equally important for everyone. This is not a gender thing. This is truly an everyone thing.
Yeah, because from the spiritual side, there is no gender, no? I mean,
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean,
yes.
I talk about it in my book. I talk about the universal laws and the law of gender being one of them, but I really emphasize the fact that that's the makeup of creation, is that you have a masculine energy and a feminine energy, but it's
Mhm.
within every living being. So no one is better than the other. They
Yeah,
just balance each other out.
yeah. I also found out today that when you are reincarnated, most of the, or actually all of the reincarnations were either male or female, and then they always change into the opposite sex. So it means that if they were a female before, they change into a male, or that's what I found out today. I don't.
I find that that is true for some people,
Mhm.
because it's based off of karmic lessons. I'm tapped into the Akashic records myself, so I've been able to kind of see a lot of my previous lifetimes. I haven't done it for other people though, but I know that for just picking up on people's energy, that that's definitely the case, is that you've sort of learned from your previous lifetime, and then you're put into a new lesson with a new challenge. I know for myself, I haven't seen any masculine lifetimes from what I've done, from the research that I've done into my own previous lifetimes. But I think it just depends on the person. And I think it truly depends on what energy you need more of.
Yeah. But do you think before you were born that because your soul decided to go through all of these lessons and everything, that most of it was already planned to go
Yes.
through all of this?
Oh yeah, totally. I've seen a lot of my previous lifetime. I had a previous lifetime in Mexico.
Hmm.
Um, so that was the last one before this one. And I know exactly why I chose to incarnate in Canada. I know exactly why I chose to incarnate to my parents and the challenges that I chose for this lifetime. And that gave me a lot of peace when I was coming into my spiritual awakening, because I think a big struggle for most people in the beginning is the feeling of not knowing what your dharma and your purpose truly is. So going into the past lives is so amazing. I'm glad that you bring that up, because it really does, I believe it sets you on your path to understand why you're here.
Yeah. But I also yeah, that's I find it very interesting, to be honest, past lives and reincarnation, because For me, I feel like I have lived many lives. I don't know how many actually, but
I
I
can see.
know
Yeah.
I know that that when you talk about, for example, having a deja vu, that your soul, because on the spiritual side there is no time. So for them, either they saw the whole life, the spirit before they were born into this body, and they saw what happened. So when you have a deja vu, it's actually because you have seen from the spiritual side already your life, no? Wouldn't you
Yes.
agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree with that. Well, the time is very linear, and it's something that we use to make sense of things in the third dimensional plane of thinking, which is that, systematic way, that matrix way of thinking of, at 9 o'clock, you're going to have this meeting, and then at 12, you're going to have lunch and whatever. But when you focus on going within and you do spend time in meditation and stillness or spend time in nature, you're able to raise your consciousness to a state of higher level of thinking where you see beyond time. You're not paying attention to time. That's
Mm-hmm.
why people who are on drugs will say that they have no concept of time or what they're doing, because they're living on this other dimension and this higher frequency, this higher consciousness. Not that I'm condoning that, but I'm just saying that in general, that when you're more tapped into other parts of your being, you understand that you're always in a perpetual state of now and what's happening in the present.
Yeah. But do you think um, like plants like ayahuasca treatment or magic mushroom can help elevate this like
Well, I can't speak to it so much because I don't have personal experience with it, and I don't choose to have a personal experience with it. But I don't necessarily, I don't forbid it. I think that it can be used in a, you know, well monitored setting with someone who really knows what they're doing, and you make sure that you have the right dosage and you're really knowledgeable on what's happening, you're in a safe environment.
yeah.
So I think that it can be really beneficial for people, but I think it can only be beneficial for people if they're already on a spiritual path and they're already doing the work, because otherwise it's really just a placebo. If you're not doing the work and you just think, okay, I'm going to have this magic mushroom and it's going to make me happy, it's just going to be a temporary experience. And unfortunately, the case that I've seen with a lot of people is that they do that, and because
Mhm.
they haven't done the work, the
Yeah.
shadow work, inner healing, and all of that on their own, sober, they have a terrible trip. And especially if you have pre-existing mental health conditions, it can trigger things. I know there's research about like microdosing mushrooms can help with focus and things like that. But that's exactly it. The dosage makes all the difference, and the purpose and the intent makes
Yeah.
all the difference.
Mhm. Regarding, I know it's a very, topic, depression. I don't want to, like uh, talk it softly, but I know that depression, because I get asked a lot about depression. It comes from the soul. If the soul can't express itself, and
Yep.
the your mind is trying to block it, that's why there is depression. No? How
Yep.
would you say that? How would
Yeah,
you?
I would say that mental health is a spiritual, well, mental illness is a spiritual disease in a lot of ways. And I
Mhm.
think for myself, a big reason why I struggled with my own bouts of anxiety and depression in the past had to do with a lack of belief in something beyond myself. The years where I chose to be an atheist and turned away from God were the most anxious and depressed years of my life, and I do think that that is related. I do think that when I succumbed to my pain, and I was just thinking about this earlier actually, that when I succumbed to my pain and I was no longer trying to pretend like I wasn't feeling weak, I allowed myself to have that ego death and leave space for faith in something beyond myself to come and strengthen me. So I
Mhm.
do think that it's really related. I don't think that it's necessarily for everyone though. And I think that how spirituality shows up in your life is so unique and personal to you that it may not be God. It may not be believing in an angel or angel guides or any of that. It's just going to be whatever strengthens you and empowers you.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think now, especially during these times, a lot of people are going through depression, no? Because they're questioning their purpose, they're questioning what's happening with them, because they
Yes.
see the normal life what they used to have, working on an average job, or doing things which were normal aren't
Yes.
normal anymore in this sense. So I
Yeah,
think
we
it's a
have.
wake up call from sorry.
No, 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 go ahead.
I think
Thank
it's
you.
a wake up call for many spirits, or people to really align with themselves, especially now in this time.
Definitely. And that's exactly the right wording. It's a wake up call. It's a wake up call to, was that job really empowering you? Was it really giving you the kind of lifestyle that you wanted? And was it really making you happy? And I mean, maybe for some people it was, and this is a hard adjustment. And what I was about to say is that we're having a separate pandemic aside from COVID. We're having this parallel mental health crisis because of exactly what you're talking about. And I think that people have had to go into survival mode. And when you're in that survival mode, it's really hard to thrive, find that purpose, like what you're talking about, because you're so taken over by the fear. But when you're able to look past the fear and tune out some of that conditioning and honestly turn off the news for a period of time, I'm not saying to tune it out completely, but to really take back your power means to go within yourself and spend that time reflecting. I think that that is key. I think that's really important because how are you supposed to know what exactly is going wrong within you if you don't honestly face it in yourself? I was reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which is
My
an
favorite book, I read it 20 times. So
yeah, and I was just reading the last chapter. I was just finishing it up, and to be honest, I wasn't super impressed with some parts of it because it's very old language, and some of it just didn't resonate with me.
yeah.
Especially because I've read so much about esoteric knowledge and the secret and law of attraction and stuff. But this book did come before a lot of that. And he talks about the six ghosts of fear, and he talks about analyzing the things that are really holding you back and
Mm.
breaking through your limitations as if you're both on trial, you're the judge, and you're the juror. And I think that that's such an incredible thing when it comes to doing the shadow work and healing those darker hidden aspects of your psyche, is being
Mm.
really honest with yourself about what it is that's holding you back.
Yeah. But don't you think that yeah, sorry. But don't you think that everybody in our surroundings or in our environment is like a mirror to us? Because they're showing us parts of us which we haven't acknowledged or
Oh yeah,
accepted.
definitely. That was actually the first video that I posted on TikTok that went viral. That kind of like started me off with TikTok. I
Mhm.
said that everybody is a mirror. I was referring to Carl Jung and Jungian psychology that studied that. And I think it's really true. I think the things that we get most triggered by in other people are oftentimes the things that we have to work on within ourselves. And it's a hard pill to swallow,
Mm.
but once you come to terms with it, I think it makes it so much easier for you to kind of find those solutions and push
Yeah.
past it. I
Yeah.
think that that's the major key, is that people are more focused on their limitations rather than solutions, and that's what gets you stuck and stagnant and depressed.
Mhm. Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah. But do you think also regarding a partnership, if you're in a relationship, that you attract the person you are at the moment you loved yourself? Like if you love yourself, you attract the same partner at the same frequency,
Oh,
the same
totally.
vibe. Mm.
Totally, absolutely. And that's why I get so many young girls specifically that are like, I have this crush on a boy, I want to manifest him. And I'm kind of like, let's manifest some self love first, and then you'll attract the right person for you. I think
Mm.
that we all have so many soulmates because the majority of us have had a lot of previous lifetimes. So those soulmates are related to those previous lifetimes, and we end up attracting the person who is vibrating on whatever frequency our soul is currently at.
Mhm.
So if you attract someone who is abusive, for example, there's a lot of inner work that needs to be done.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah. But if you, is there 100% enlightenment? Like, would you say, is there, if you find your true soulmate or partner who will stay with you, is there some, or are they just people coming into your life showing you parts you haven't loved or accepted and move on? Like,
Um,
is, yeah,
no, go ahead.
yeah,
Can you expand on that?
yeah. Okay, I didn't formulate it well. So,
It's a tricky
um,
question, I think.
yeah, because look, I look at from my own experience. Okay, I thought I found someone who I could, you know, grow together, have a family, and all that. And then suddenly something happened because I learned my lesson, perhaps, and then the things changed. So then I realized, okay, I mean, if I love myself and accept myself, then the person, the right person, will come into my life, and then we will stay together. No,
Yes. Um,
so that was my thought. Yeah,
yeah, I think I kind of know what you mean. I think that, well, first of all, I think with soulmates, karmic ties are closely tied with that. And for anyone that doesn't understand what that is, I mean, karmic is basically like any lessons, like what you're saying that you had to learn from, and then when the lessons learned, you moved on. But I think that when you meet the right person for you, and I do think that there's a right person for everyone. I think you reach enlightenment together because you understand that true enlightenment is growth and the dedication to growing together. And I think what we see nowadays especially is that people do not dedicate themselves to growing together in a partnership, and there isn't this acceptance that people grow at different paces as well. And I think that that's probably one of the biggest keys, aside from communication, which every dating expert will talk about, I think, is accepting each other at where they're at and encouraging each other's growth. And
yeah.
I think that that's where enlightenment really comes from.
So there's still hope for the romantic side. No, I
Yeah.
would say.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I know people who like they're they've lost a loved one. They're in their older age, and they still go on to get remarried and meet someone else. So I think that
Yeah,
there's always room for love.
yeah. Room for love and for learning actually,
For
because
learning.
you never stop learning, no, from
Yes.
each
And I
other.
think that when you stop learning is when you start to die.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you never stop learning actually.
Sorry,
No,
go ahead.
no, no. I mean, you never stop learning until you actually die. But
Yeah.
dying is another point. Like you don't die actually. You
No.
just move on. So no.
You just move on to the next level. You're just moving on to the next thing, and that in itself is an experience to learn from too.
You know, I
Yeah.
had quite a very interesting how you call that revelation. You know, 2 days ago, I was thinking I saw a video about the Pleiadians. You know what the Pleiadians are? The
Yes.
Arcturians,
Hmm.
and I was asking myself where might I come from originally? And then I looked on my body, and I had like the star sign because I'm from I'm a Taurus, you know. And then I looked here, and then here on my right side, I see like a sign, like a star sign. It's a Centaurus, or how you call it? I forgot the name.
Or
The Orion belt.
oh yeah. Okay.
And I had it here, like I have it here on my body. I'm like, oh, I always I have always seen it, but I never questioned it. And then I looked it up, and then when I researched it, I found out that it's from the Pleiadians, actually.
Interesting. Yeah, birthmarks can tell a lot about your soul's origin. But
Yeah.
Pleiadians are really only one of so many different star seeds. And I think that we as humans feel so connected to them because they're probably the star seed that is most connected to humanity. But there's so many that we don't know about.
Mhm.
It's really interesting. I actually had someone do a reading for me a couple months ago, um, and Lemuria came up, and I was kind of like, "What is that?" and it's basically like Atlantis, but on the other coast. So yeah, there's so many. I'm still kind of learning about that, but the Pleiadians are really interesting because a lot of people tend to channel the Pleiadian consciousness, which is really that fifth dimensional consciousness of like humility and love and compassion. And I think it's amazing that you found that marking,
Yeah, I
because
mean,
when you choose to tap into that, I mean, you get to spread that even more.
yeah, but I think it's always at the right point, man. I could have found it out 10 years ago, and I could have, because I never, how should I say? I started spirituality now, last couple of years. So 10 years ago, this wouldn't mean anything for me.
Yeah,
So that's why it came to this point in time to find it out. Like it was indicating it. There was a
yeah,
sign. Although I
definitely
was,
divine timing. I'm a big believer in that.
yeah. There's, like I say, I always say there is no coincidence. It's all
No.
like planned. You meet all those souls, all those spirits at a certain point in life, and now, especially now, since we started into this new age, the Aquarius age,
Yeah.
last year on December. Do you think has there been a separation between the third and fifth dimension, or is it
Yes, I do think so. I do think so, and I have definitely witnessed that. So that's why I can say that I think so. I think that there's a lot of people that, like we were saying earlier, that are really stuck and stagnant and are not looking for the solutions for moving forward. And I mean, look, Darwin has talked about the survival of the fittest, and the survival of the fittest are the people who adapt and who are tapped into raising their consciousness. So I think we're going to continue to see that separation, and we're going to continue to see some of that old world paradigm and that um, old conditioning that no longer serves us falling away more and more, because people are awakening.
mm,
And when one person awakens, they plant the seed for other people to awaken. So it's that domino effect. So I think eventually we will have more people who are tapped into the fifth dimensional consciousness. But I think another thing is that people get really afraid of that separation, and they forget that we actually still need the third dimension. These are all things that, build up our humanity, and that we consciously bounce back and forth between those different levels of consciousness. You can start off your day feeling really happy, fifth dimensional consciousness, and then you stub your toe getting out of bed, and then you're back to the 3D. So I think
true?
not getting too hung up on that is really key, and understanding that duality, the piece of, that high vibrational frequency and that low vibrational frequency, finding that neutrality is where peace will come to be.
Yeah, but also regarding what's happening now with this COVID thing and everything. I mean, I knew it from the beginning. I knew that something's wrong, and I always listen to my gut feeling, to my
Yeah,
intuition, and I always beg people to listen to their intuition, not to the media or whatever there is out there, because
yeah,
it's tough. People are living in fear, and I mean, I know what's happening. I know deep inside. I don't have to convince other ones, but it's not easy to live in this period of time knowing all what's happening,
definitely.
and you are being in lockdown, I imagine, in Canada, me here. But it's a good, from one side it's good because you are working on yourself, you're focusing on the energies and everything. But from the other side, I love traveling and everything, so it's quite kind of a bit hard for me to go through all that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there are some plus sides to being in lockdown. I think, depending on where you are, though, if you're living if you're living somewhere awful and you're living with awful people, then obviously the lockdown is going to be nothing but horrible for you. So it's all a matter of perspective, really. But you know, I always think back to like what we're talking about with the past lives and just all the stuff that we've overcome as a humanity, as a society, for thousands of years. And it may be difficult to see it right now, but we have overcome seemingly harder things than what we're overcoming right now. I know people uh think that this is, the end. Um But that's where the age of Aquarius really comes into play, is the understanding of that we have an opportunity to work on ourselves, like you're saying, while we're home, and to build what we want to see for the new age and that new earth, and to put aside the programming of what we're seeing in the media. I think sometimes people get so I want to say chained is the right word, to placing um, knowledge on other people, or placing worth on other people. Oh, this person, it must be smarter than me, so they know the way, so I should lead them or should listen to them and let them lead. But it's like what you're saying, the more that you spend time with yourself and you trust your gut, the more you're able to create the reality from your perspective that is going to be, a better quality of life.
Yeah, yeah,
I think we're all capable.
yeah. But I mean, do you have the same feeling that you have this knowingness and you don't want to cope with people trying to convince, they try to convince you otherwise, no? How do
Yeah,
you?
I don't I definitely have stopped listening to anything that instills fear.
Yeah,
So anything that instills fear, I'm like, look, we all have enough base fear within our body from previous experiences or whatever it may be, that I don't need to listen to something that is going to instill that fear further. So yeah, I mean, I had this feeling too that something like this was going to come up. I didn't know exactly what it would be, if it was going to be a natural disaster or a sickness or a war. I definitely thought it was going to be more of a war, and I think in some ways we are under psychological warfare. And I have worries for the future, just like anybody else, but I think that it's up to us to put that aside, and it's up to us to come together and to really plant the seeds and create that vision that
yeah,
we want.
yeah,
The power is always in the people.
yeah. But do you think can we conquer the fear for most of the people? Because they are living all mostly in fear now. Fear-based living,
Yeah.
not knowing even what's going to happen. That's the worst thing.
Well, fear is one of the lower vibrational frequencies that anyone can experience. So
Yeah,
it's a matter of, like I said, putting aside those things that instill fear, and understanding and affirming to yourself that you are safe within,
hmm,
that you've had lifetimes on earth before, that earth is protecting you, that earth does regenerate herself,
yeah,
and that the world is a safe place, but it's a matter of perspective.
yeah. But is
It's
there,
really a matter of perspective.
yeah, but is there also a earth karma, like unity karma, like all togetherness? Because there is each one's karma, and there is the whole, how you call that, the whole society karma. Where, I mean, especially where you live or where I live, there is also karma. So being here and with my karma, it was all meant to happen. I think
Oh, definitely.
collective
Definitely.
karma. That's what I meant. Collective karma.
Yeah, collective karma. I think for sure. I think definitely there's collective karma that we're all working through together, because the law of divine oneness just shows that we are all one. Eventually, everything melds into one. You know, we all return to source, whatever that may be. We're all matters and particles
Yeah,
at the end of the day, right? So your karma could definitely be transferred to someone else, and especially when we're in relationships, that's where karma comes up the most.
mhm,
However that relationship may present itself, and it doesn't have to be romantic. So I do think, yeah, it kind of is earth's cycle of like, I'm going to get back at you for the stuff that you may have done wrong, and you're going to have to learn from it. And that's, why we call it Mother Earth, because as a mother does, a mother is going to show you, okay, you messed up here,
yeah,
you have to, here's your punishment. That there's karmic, collective karmic lessons to be learned.
yeah,
And that's why it's so important for us to all come together.
Hmm.
and to see beyond the illusion of separation, because it truly is that, it's an illusion. So
Yeah. But
yeah.
would you say if someone didn't learn its lesson or karma in this life, do they need to come back to do the same thing until they learned it or finished it? They they
Yeah.
they come back, so
Oh yeah.
they cannot escape it.
Yeah, and they can't escape it. No, I think you just keep cycling back. And I know that not, I know that reincarnation is not something that everyone can get behind, but we do have just so many points to support it, I think. Like you said, with the deja vu, and with, the way that DNA works and genetics work, I think, are things that people can look at to understand past lives better and karmic lives better. And even astrology will show you markings of past lives and karma from previous lifetimes. And I think we're constantly meant to learn from the previous lifetime
Mhm.
and enlighten ourselves and wake up again and remember. We come back to earth and we've forgotten everything from that previous lifetime, and then it's up to us to wake up and listen to our soul, listen to what our soul is calling us to do, and to make peace with those karmic lessons and learn from them.
Mm.
And ultimately, the greatest karmic lesson is just forgiveness.
That's
It's
true.
forgiving yourself and forgiving others.
Yeah, and putting your ego aside, especially like showing
Yeah,
love, because love is actually the answer for everything. I mean,
absolutely. And I mean, people can have their opinions about God, but God at the end of the day is the frequency of love. That's all it is. It's a frequency of love
yeah,
and forgiveness.
yeah, imagine if everybody would act out of love, then we wouldn't have all these issues now. I mean,
And that's exactly it. I think that
mm,
we have a society of people who are seemingly adults that are really hurt children that haven't done the inner child work. So the more that everyone focuses on nurturing their inner child, that will lead them to their higher self, and that will lead them to a more peaceful understanding of themselves and others, and being able to put aside the ego and understand that forgiveness is not about you. It doesn't take away anything that you did. It's about what is going to serve me.
mhm,
When you hold on to something that isn't serving you anymore, you're just hurting yourself over and over again.
yeah,
But if you say, look, I forgive you, I'm gonna mess up the quotation, but Ho'oponopono is this Hawaiian
I love
philosophy
that.
around
Yes, I know that.
forgiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can say, because I mess it up. It's like, I love you, forgive you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, something like that.
Yes, exactly. I love you. Please forgive me. I have to look it up, but I love you. Please forgive me.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. And the last one, I don't remember.
yeah. But it's
But
something along those lines. So even if you don't get it exactly, it's
mhm,
just understanding that when you do that, that's empowering for you,
yeah,
because you're not holding on to the pain anymore.
exactly. Yeah, it's a manifestation actually, a mantra. When you say it
Absolutely.
often, when you say it
Absolutely.
often enough, then you believe it, and then you, you can express it into your environment, into your
Yeah.
surroundings.
And that's the thing, is that I think sometimes forgiveness isn't just a one-time shot. You might think that you've forgiven someone, and then, you know, they're showing up in your dreams. I had that happen.
Yeah.
There was someone that I thought I forgave, and then they were literally in my dreams for 10 years. I'm like, clearly I did not forgive you. So I
Okay.
had to have that moment of like, no, I actually forgive you. I truly forgive you. I'm letting you go. And you have to say it as many times as you need to before it's truly no longer in your system.
Yeah. But it's like when you want to manifest something, you have to truly mean it, no? Because it's a vibration, it's a frequency.
The
So
secret is like,
yeah,
yeah,
because you can say it but without meaning, and then it doesn't manifest. But if you feel
yeah,
something for that, then it's more obvious that it's gonna manifest, no? Or it's going to manifest
yeah.
because of the vibration.
Well, that's Exactly, and it's in your vibration because you can say one thing, but the universe knows what frequency you're vibrating at. So
Yeah.
you might say, um, "Thank you for thank you to the universe for my abundance and my prosperity." But if you have a lack mentality somewhere within your brain that you're still vibrating at, the universe is going to go, "I don't think that that's true. I think
Mhm.
those were just words, and I'm not going to bless you with that."
Yeah.
So that's where raising your vibration is so important.
Yeah. But what do you think about the book, The Secret? I mean,
I
because,
love it. And
okay,
it's the whole, I have it right here, so I'm staring at it. And
okay,
it's the whole reason why I wrote my book is because I wanted to take the concepts from The Secret and from other esoteric books.
hmm,
Divine Magic is another one that I really love that's about the same kind of thing. But I think that sometimes it can be so overwhelming to consume all at once.
yeah,
And that's definitely a book that you have to go back to and like keep referring to and take notes.
yeah.
But
But
it
I,
set me on.
yeah, but I heard, or I, because I read it also often, but it doesn't, like we just discussed it. It doesn't say how to really manifest, because it says you have to just focus and blah blah. But the real intention, or how you do it, that's
Yeah,
the really the main thing which needs to be
yeah, it
pointed
doesn't
out. No.
give you the structure.
Yeah.
It doesn't really give you the structure. And that was, I think, the reason why it didn't immediately change my life. I think it planted the seed, and I think it had me starting to think in a different way. But it wasn't until I don't even know exactly when I really found the secret sauce for me, but probably in the last year I found more of that structure and that secret sauce. And that's why I wrote the book, Lighting the Way Through Manifestation, because I wanted to give people that structure. I think it's so confusing, especially nowadays. We have this method and that method, and nobody knows what they're doing. And that was, so that is kind of the thing that I wasn't too happy about with the secret, is that you don't really get exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And some of us really need that structure when we're so unclear.
So your book actually describes step by step how to manifest in this sense.
Yeah. Basically, it is a 7-step structure that you can use however you want to manifest. So,
Mhm.
whether it's a job or confidence or a relationship or whatever it is, I'm not going to tell people what they should or should not manifest, but um, it's a structure that I used for myself within business, within lifestyle, within all of those things that I just mentioned,
Mhm.
travel, things like that. And it basically gives you the clarification, and I really emphasize within those steps how to execute them in a really concise, easy to understand way.
Yeah, but you always have to take action. You cannot just sit there and wait that it
Yeah.
comes.
And that was one of the main things that I talk about in this book. I dedicated a little bit more of my time to writing that rule on taking action, taking inspired daily action, because I think where people get this wrong is that they think that it's going to fall into your lap. Like, oh,
Mhm.
I want to manifest $100. Sometimes it does happen to show up the very next day,
Yeah,
but sometimes it takes a little bit more of that inspired action, especially if you're manifesting something big. Like if you're manifesting a Fortune 500 company, that's not happening overnight. Like you're going to have to wake up and do the work.
yeah,
uh, but it's about being inspired, and it's about taking even 1% of that inspired daily action towards your goals, and understanding that it's going to happen at that divine timing.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's actually what I'm going through now. My main business is in real estate, and last year, like not much was going on. Didn't go. There was no transactions. Because of COVID mainly.
Yeah.
And then I manifested something. I manifested a certain amount. I manifested that I want to do different things. And then I took action. And then I waited. I got contacted by some landowner, and he told me, hey, I have a portfolio of buildings to sell. Can you sell me this? And then whoa. I'm like, I didn't
Amazing.
expect that, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm in this process now, and let's see. I mean, I manifest the thing, but like the universe or my higher self knows when it's the time to
Yeah.
receive it. You know?
It's interesting that you say that you got distracted with other things.
Yeah.
Because I think that that's such an important last step before the thing you want manifests
Mhm.
is letting go of it and getting distracted with other things that raise your vibration.
Yeah, exactly. And because when I learned, okay, I don't want to demean, you know, or belittle working in a job. If you work somewhere where you love doing what you really do,
Yeah.
then I don't discuss it. But if you're working only to make money or make ends meet, or how you call that,
Yeah.
then you're miserable. You feel like you know what I mean. Huh? It
Totally.
yeah.
So true.
So I thought to myself, if I can have a certain amount of money and I can do something good with that, you know, I can help others. I have donated to organizations in Africa. You know, I've been to Ghana, I've been to Ethiopia, I've been to these countries, and I've seen poverty. You know, I've seen people living with much less than we are living here in Western society, and I appreciate that. You know, having this attitude of gratitude is also very important. Gratitude is also a very important aspect.
Yeah,
So
and I think sometimes it takes seeing people who unfortunately do have less than you to understand just the magnitude of your blessings and how grateful you truly are for it. I think though that we will never be able to be um as grateful as we necessarily should be because that law of perception just gets in the way and we don't understand exactly what we have when it's in front of us.
yeah, that's why you should have this attitude of gratitude. You know,
Yeah,
appreciate what you have, and if you appreciate what you have now, then you will attract more of it. Because
absolutely.
if you act from, you know, like you see someone who has a nice car or whatever, and you're jealous, then that's not good. That's a negative emotion or feeling.
It's like a sin, right? Like
Yeah,
envy is the one of the sins.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
true. I mean, the universe hears you when you say, I really love this. I really love this cup of coffee. The universe is going to give you more coffee, whatever
Yeah,
it may be. But also, it works in on the downside too. If you say, oh, I really hate this, the universe is going to send you more of what you hate too.
yeah,
So
that's true.
it works on both levels. But definitely, I think starting off with gratitude, even for just the smallest things of like, you woke up today, congratulations, you woke up today. Not everyone does. That's a blessing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be I would say write a journal every day about what grateful you have. I do that every day. I write down
Me too.
certain things, even if it's the smallest thing, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
now since you cannot interact with many people, you still find something, you know,
Yeah.
like on a daily basis. And
I mean, my grandmother, she might kill me for saying this, but she told me the other day, she's like, I'm so grateful I got up and went to the bathroom on my own.
okay,
Like, it's one of those, she's like, I'm getting older. It's great that I can still do that.
yeah,
It's small things. It's such a small thing, but like basic bodily things are not so basic for some people. And that's something to be really grateful for. And I think we sometimes forget. It's like when you get a cold, you're like, oh, I really miss when I was able to breathe through my nose correctly.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm grateful for having this conversation with you.
Me
Like,
too. Yes. This is
I
great.
really, I really appreciate this, and I mean, if we can help someone, you know, listening to this or watching this, then we already done something good with that. So that's
Yeah.
why I started actually this podcast, because I had these followers on TikTok. They asked me many things about spirituality. So I thought, you know, maybe I could answer it like this on this, like
Yeah.
in this
No,
case,
this
you
is
know.
a great format to talk more in depth about this stuff. I think TikTok is great for planting the seed a little bit because you have like 15 seconds to 1 minute, but to have a full blown conversation, there's nothing better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, let's see where we'll be going. But I'm really uh, honored and pleased to connect with so many like-minded spirits like with you, and we can all
Yeah,
learn from each other. We grow together. No? So
exactly. And like we said earlier, that's true enlightenment is learning from each other.
yes, exactly. Yeah. Like we never stop. We always move
We
forward.
never stop.
Yeah,
Exactly. And I'm so grateful for that. It's amazing the things that you can learn just from having a conversation. And I think the art of the conversation is something that I hope the younger generations tap into more. I know that because of the way that technology is being structured, that it's a little bit more difficult for them, and there may be some social anxiety, but breaking out of it and understanding the expansion that can happen from that is just so exciting, I think, in my
yeah,
opinion.
that's true.
Yeah.
Can I ask you one thing? I have found out that there is a site where you can put on your details. I think it's called astro.com. You can put out your details when you were born and everything, and
Yeah.
then it brings up the whole world map, the map of the Earth, and then it puts the time you were born, how the planets were constellated, and then you can see where is the best place to live. Actually, I got
Oh,
so stuck with that. I don't know. I don't know if it's really good
that's
or not.
interesting. I've had this conversation recently with a few people about like the meridian points in the earth, that where there's certain places in the earth that like the frequency is just higher collectively. I guess the people that are living there are just more united in their community. So
Mhm.
that's sort of interesting. Astro.com, you said?
Yes, astro.com. Yeah, you go.
I'll
There's a sector there where you put travel. I think travel astro, something like that,
yeah.
and then you can put on the details and everything, the time you were born and everything, and then it calculates, how the planets
And
were.
that's probably related to past lives too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know why, but I always felt drawn to Canada. I mean, before I came here to live in Switzerland,
Hmm.
I it was a decision between going to Switzerland or Vancouver or Toronto,
Yeah.
So it was always like I don't know why. I always felt drawn to go
It's
to
so funny
Canada.
because I keep having dreams about Switzerland. I keep
Really?
I keep connecting with people from Switzerland, and I keep having dreams about Switzerland. And I
Okay.
was talking about this with my dad the other day. He's like, if you think it's cold here, you're like way further north. It's way colder. I'm
Yeah.
like, darn, maybe I'll just go visit, but
No, but I
eventually.
mean, Canada is still colder than here because we're not so north. We're
Yeah.
more in the southern
Oh
part.
yeah, it's definitely pretty cold. I think
Yeah.
it was like minus 18 the other day here. So
But whenever you want to come, you're welcome here in
yeah,
Zurich.
thank you. As soon as travel bans are lifted and it's safe to travel, I
Mm.
have so many places I want to go.
But you can travel. I mean, in Canada, can you travel
There is
around?
some traveling that's happening right now, but
Mm.
I'm just not in a state where I feel comfortable to do that. I know I
Okay.
have friends that have done that.
Yeah.
To everyone to each their own, just not something that I feel comfortable with. While we're still having so many people suffering from this awful disease. So,
Yeah.
but you know,
But I was lucky enough to visit Toronto before the lockdown. That was funny. That was no, in 2019 in
okay, so
November. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
what a different world it was in 2019.
oh yes. I remember strolling around through Toronto in the center, like the people or happy full. You could see them, like they would even questioning if they should have distance with each other or not. And now it's like,
So packed. Like the downtown core of Toronto was just so packed, and I think I think it was 2019 that the Raptors won, and they had
yes,
a huge parade and all of that, and it
mm,
was, oh my god, every street was shut down because it was just people were on their roofs and their cars. Everyone was just filling up the streets, and it's just crazy to like even think about how many people there were in one place congregating together
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So I don't want to keep you longer up. If you would wrap up our whole conversation and have a message for our listeners, what would you tell them?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me and for chatting with me today. And my message for your viewers is to do whatever your soul is calling you to do, whatever lights your soul up, go and do it. Do not wait. Put aside the thoughts of other people and really spend time with what your inner child really needs, because that's where your peace is going to be found, and that's what's going to lead you to your higher self and your highest quality of life.
Yeah,
That's it.
great. Amen. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you
Namaste.
so much.
Thank you.
All
So
right.
have a great day. Thanks.
You take
Bye.
care.
Bye.
Bye.